you may chef looking inside you? Well then, give us a call and you could be a guest chef on the show Soup to Nuts. That's right, you could be sharing your gastronomic creations with all of us. So give us a call at 881-1653. Or if that's busy, then give us a call at 881-2189. That's right, you could be a guest chef on Soup to Nuts.
Hi, welcome to Soup to Nuts. Tonight we're going to be cooking some lobster-filled raviolis covered in a lobster cream sauce. Tonight, assisting me will be my sister Susan Shahood. First, what we're going to do is make the dough. I'm going to start with 3 eggs. This is just, we prepared the dough ahead of time, so we're just going to use 3 eggs, but what we did for the show was 6 to 7 eggs. But I'm just going to show you how to knead the dough, start the dough, so we can get going on the filling. You beat the eggs, and then you add some of the flour. And I know people are going to ask how much flour, but I never measure anything because that's how I was taught how to cook. But if you keep using the flour, you'll get to feel how much. You don't want to put too much, and it's hard to describe. You don't want to put too much, and you don't want to not put enough, but you'll find a happy medium. So to start, you just want to keep adding it until it gets thick enough so you can take it out and knead it onto the piece of wood or the counter, whatever you're doing. So as you can see, it's getting a little thicker. So it gets thick enough so you can almost make a little ball out of it. Like that. And then I'm going to take it out onto the flour. And start to knead it.
This isn't a hard recipe. You could do it like, if you had an hour and a half, you could make these raviolis and serve it that night. It's really not that hard. The dough usually takes like 20 minutes. I made the dough this morning. It took me 20 minutes to make it.
So you just want to continue folding and pushing with the palm, folding, and keep adding flour so it doesn't stick. And when you do that, the flour is picking up from the counter or bowl or board, and you keep just kneading. And again, people are going to ask, when do you stop kneading? It's all pretty much by what you can feel. When you just feel that it's right. It's not picking up any more flour.
Doesn't stick to your palms, right?
Doesn't stick to your palms, and it's got a good kind of firm feel to it. It's not too soft. So that's basically what it's going to look like, but I would knead it more if I was doing it at home. But I just wanted to show you what it was going to look like. And right here we got the final look at it, what it looks like when it's kneaded. And we let it sit in the refrigerator overnight. But when you're making these, what you want to do is, when it's done being kneaded, rub it down a little olive oil, cover it with some saran wrap, and put it in the fridge for at least 20 minutes and let it get cool. So right now, Susan's going to describe what's in the filling itself and how much to use.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a pound of ricotta. This is to make probably 50 to 60 raviolis. So I'm going to add the ricotta, and then I'm going to add some lobster meat, which you chop it. And that is about a quarter of a pound of fresh lobster. You can use it frozen, but I'm using fresh. Just gives it a better taste, but you can use it. And you're just going to do it to small pieces. And then, Brian, you have some more over there I'm going to add to it. You can add as much as you want. If you want it to have a lot of a lobster taste, then you add a lot of lobster. I'm going to show you what it looks like. Actually, I think I'm going to add more lobster. What do you think, Bri?
So then, we're also going to be adding eventually some garlic and tarragon, correct?
Yep, which we can do that right now. I'm going to use, like I said, Brian said he doesn't measure. I don't measure either. This is probably 2 cloves. You can use whatever. You can do it for taste, whatever the taste you want. And then I'm going to add some tarragon leaves. And this is a teaspoon too, but like I said, I don't measure, so. And ground pepper, which you can add to taste. And Parmesan cheese, Romano, sorry. And I do, I don't know, 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup.
So again, you used, just go over the ricotta again.
I used ricotta,
How much?
a pound of ricotta, to 1/4 pound to 1/2 pound of lobster meat, which it's chopped, to a teaspoon of tarragon,
And as much chopped garlic as you like.
as much as you want.
Pepper as you like.
Right. What I usually do is before I even make them, I taste the filling, which I'm going to do as soon as I mix it all.
So again, this is going to make anywhere from 50 to 60. So
And I did that yesterday. I made 50 to 60. It took me about an hour and 15 minutes to make the raviolis. Do you want to taste it, Bri? I like the taste. So that's what I would use. You can either add more garlic or
well, if
more
Dad was
cheese.
Here, if Dad was here, he wouldn't allow me to add more garlic. So since he's not here, I think he should add a little more.
Okay, but it's
We'll add it once we
Okay.
before we actually construct them. What about lobster? You think you should add a little bit more?
well, might as well finish it. It wouldn't hurt it. You can even add lobster with crab meat. You can do any kind you want.
You can do half crab meat, half lobster to save
Right.
some money on the lobster.
You
But
can,
from what we found, I think it's better to definitely go with the fresh lobster. If you can avoid it, don't buy the can because somehow it doesn't seem to have that much of a lobster taste to it. So if you're going to do it right, you should go with the fresh lobster.
and you can get the fresh lobster meat at Ariel's or any seafood place. Or you can boil up lobsters and do it yourself.
All right, so what we're going to do right now is flash up the recipe, and when we come back, we're going to have it all set up to actually roll out the dough and construct some of the raviolis. So we'll be right back. Hi, welcome back. Right now, what we're going to do is roll out the dough and put the filling in, and we're going to actually make the raviolis. What we're using here to roll out the dough is a pasta machine, which you can get. They're relatively inexpensive. You can get them anywhere, but Kitchens, etc. has stuff like this, and you would be surprised how many people nowadays have these. They're relatively inexpensive, and you can make your own pasta at much cheaper than it is to buy them, and it's a lot better for you. So what I did was cut these out, cut the dough into about 1/4 inch thick slices, and just patted them down into so they look like this. On the setting on this, you start at a wide setting, for the first run. You want to crank it slow, and then adjust it so it gets smaller. The opening. Want to grab that in? And the last setting is a finer setting for the final pass through.
So what would you say the thickness is?
Thin. No, it's hard to say how thin it is, but you wouldn't want to do it too thin because they might break when you're boiling them. But relatively 3 times through the machine. And on the machine, it's hard to see, you can't see it, but they have numbers. This one starts at 10 and goes all the way to 0. So the 10 is the widest, obviously the 0 is the smallest. So what we do is just cut it down to 6, 4, and 2, and that's what we've always been, that's what my grandmother did, and that's what we do.
So what we're going to do is we're going to take a teaspoon, and you can make them, you can fill them as much as you want. And you're going to put them probably, I don't know, a couple inches apart. Hopefully this is going to work fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine. Usually on the end piece, we always fill the last end piece and fold this one over right away, so that you're working with a square piece of dough for the next one. And make sure you have enough flour on the board so that nothing sticks, because if it sticks, you'll never get them off.
Cut this one off at the end. And then we're going to fold it. I'm going to try to fold it. And as you fold them, you just separate them so you can cut them with your fingers like this and close them all up. And then we're going to cut them. And we're going to fork them, right?
Yep, always put the fork in some flour first, just so it doesn't stick to the fork. And you want to press down real good on all the sides that are being closed. The back side's obviously not being closed, but you want to, the tighter you do these, the better, because they were not going to break when you boil them.
Yeah, don't be afraid to use flour. The flour, you can use as much flour as you want. It won't hurt. Won't hurt them at all.
And to fork them, you're just going down straight up. You don't want to drag it because it'll pull.
Now at Christmas time, when we make raviolis for Christmas, for what, how many people? 35 people? We make about 400, and we have an assembly line with all the brothers and sisters, and we get together, usually at my house, and make them. And it's fun to, you know, to spend some time with your brothers and sisters, have a bottle of wine, have some good laughs, and make pasta for the holidays. It's a great thing. It's our tradition that we'll never give up. So my parents just come now and eat. They don't have to make them anymore, which is great. We love making them, right?
Yep. It's getting close to that time again. Why don't you start it?
Frank?
This one ended up being long, but that's what you want, because you can make a lot more that way.
You just cut it in half for me, right here.
Let's lay it this way. Add a little flour in here, because it's going to stick. Usually when you cut these, you're going to do it about 1/4 inch, a piece of dough.
I like to have it a little bit thicker
And then
so I can work with it.
I can cut it in half. I'll show you how I flatten it out. Yeah, I should have
all right.
put 2 together. This one's going to be too thin, so I'm going to put it together with this one.
You can buy the pasta machines that make the raviolis as they come out, but this is the way we were taught, and this is the way we always make them. This is the right way, is what I say.
Yeah. No cheating in this one.
My grandmother would be proud of us. Now,
Usually-
I'll tell you a story about my father. He always tells a story about his mother. Well, I'm going to tell a story about my dad. Greatest dad. Greatest grandfather. Growing up in my family, there was, 12 of us. And we had a big, long dinner table. And every night that we'd have dinner, we'd all sit down, 14 of us, and have dinner. And whatever we put in our plate for dinner, we had to eat. That was what we were told. Whatever you put in your plate, you have to eat for dinner. So we'd all get our plates. It used to be pretty much pasta. We always ate a lot of pasta. And one of us would say, Dad, I'm full. My father would sit at the end of the table, and he'd say, okay, pass it down, I'll eat it. So he'd eat, say, my dish. And then another brother and sister would say, Dad, I can't finish this, I'm full. So they'd pass it down. So in other words, my father never made his own dish. He would always finish our dishes. He never had his own dish. Do you ever remember that? You were too little. You were probably in a high chair. But that's my story. That's the only one I can tell you.
All right, just grab that. We're going to finish rolling this one out.
And then we're going to cook them.
Yeah, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back and show you. In the meantime, I'm going to throw them in the water, and when they're ready to come out, I'll show you what they're going to look like, and we're going to make the sauce that goes on top of them. So we'll see you in a couple minutes. All right, welcome back. Right now, Susan's going to show us how she makes the sauce that's going to cover the raviolis.
And what we're going to do is we're going to melt some butter, teaspoon to 2 teaspoons, whatever you'd like to use, and some garlic in there, which I have 2 cloves, or to taste, which Brian loves probably 4 cloves, but that's okay. We're going to use 2. And now we're going to try to melt this. And we're going to saute the lobster. And it's going to be chopped lobster. And, I don't know, half a cup.
Depends if you have more raviolis, you want to add more, but for what we have cooked, is a small, we didn't cook all 60, we cooked probably 25, 30.
Take that
But
out.
we're still going to make the sauce for 60. So if it looks like there's not a lot of ravies, that's the reason why.
So we saute that just for a few minutes.
Okay, so you let that saute for...
And ground pepper.
What's the heat on, about high, just to get it melted and going?
Yeah, like, to saute. You don't have to go real high, but just to get that. And then we're going to add a little, I've got cooking wine, which Brian likes to use.
Regular wine.
And a couple of teaspoons.
The reason why, if you can, stay away from the cooking wine, they replace the alcohol in regular wine with sugar, and it totally changes, I think, the flavor of stuff. But if you have to use it, you can use it. But it's basically your preference. I like to use the real wine.
So you simmer that just a little, and I'm going to add a little flour, like a teaspoon, just to make like a little roux, to make it kind of a little, not real thick, but give it a little thickness. And then I'm going to add light cream. You can use heavy cream, you can use light cream. And this is 16 ounces, but I think I'm only going to do like half of it, so 8 ounces. And you want it to come to a little boil, and then you're going to add some tarragon. So the sauce is just like the filling.
The filling is just with cream instead, obviously.
Teaspoon or a pinch here, pinch there. And some grated cheese, which we're probably, I don't know, a quarter of a cup. I do to taste too. I'm going to taste it once before I put it on my raviolis. How are they doing, Brian? You have?
Yeah, a couple more. We got some time. Let that heat up a little. So can you put parsley instead of tarragon? What's the purpose behind tarragon?
Actually, you could probably use any spice. If you want to use basil, you could, but I like the tarragon flavor to it. Tarragon's good with chicken or fish.
Seafood.
Yeah. And you want that to boil, so I'll put it on high.
So relatively, the sauce only takes about
3 minutes.
So you
3 or 4 minutes.
You want to have your raviolis started to boil, so you can cover them with the sauce as they come out of the strainer.
You can add as much cheese as you like. We love cheese. Pepper. Okay, it's
Almost ready.
just starting to boil now.
So what I'm going to do is strain these.
Just
You have to
let
excuse my back for a minute. Turn that off.
Is that ready? Shut this off.
I'm going to strain these. Shut them both off, right?
Mm-hmm. Just take it right over
You
there if
want
you
to
want.
stir that so it doesn't burn.
It's off of your fingers.
Actually, I can go right in the bowl with these. I don't need to go to that.
Do you want me to help you?
Yeah, why don't you lift the bowl so I don't... Try to lay them in soft so that...
They don't break. It's a couple sticking. And then what you're going to do is, like I said, I like to taste it before if you had to add a little more wine or whatever you'd like. Which I can use a spoon. Tastes good. And you just pour it right over, which I probably could have scooped it. You have, well, that's okay.
We'll pour it
just
and you
go.
can mix it up gently later. That's fine like that anyway.
This is extra sauce for what we use for these
Yeah.
raviolis. But
Remember, again, that's
this is
only
what
a
you're,
third of what we should...
you add a little grated cheese to it, and you're ready to eat. I made this for dinner last night because I wanted to try them. And I have 3 children, 11, 6, and 3. And my 3-year-old loved them. She ate them up. Unbelievable. So children love them. And it's good for them.
Yeah, because it has some fish in them. So that's it for the show. I'd like
Oh, let's taste one.
Why
Sorry.
don't you taste one, yeah. While she's tasting one, I'm going to say that invite anyone on that would like to come on the show and cook, or if you want to have your own show and cook your own thing, that'd be fine. Just contact Ashland Cable, and we'll flash the number up for you.
Just be careful you don't burn your mouth because I'm sure they're hot. So be
Right over the piece.
real careful. How are they? Cooked good enough?
Perfect.
Mmm.
So, I'd like to thank you all for watching. Thanks my
And,
sister for helping me.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Thanks,
Salute.
Dad.
We'll see you next time on Soup to Nuts.
Good afternoon. I'm Officer Scott Romer from the Ashland Police Department.
And I'm Peter Stone from the Ashland Fire Department.
We're here today to talk to you about emergency response vehicles. Massachusetts Motor Vehicle Law, Chapter 89, Section 7 and 7A covers emergency response vehicles. Emergency response vehicle would be any fire truck or fire apparatus any police patrol vehicle, or any ambulance. But what you're required to do as an operator of a motor vehicle is to yield to the right-of-way on any street, way, lane, or alley. It's a concern of ours regarding responding to emergency calls. And what this law requires is that every operator of a vehicle shall immediately drive as far as right as possible to the right-hand curb or side of the road and shall remain at a standstill until such emergency vehicle has passed.
And the importance of this, especially with the ambulance apparatus in response to the hospital, is this allows a really smooth and safe transport to the hospital with the less swerving and trying to pull through traffic. And the same applies with the fire apparatus. It's large and bulky, and it's important that vehicles in both directions pull over and stop to allow us to safely get through the traffic.
So please remember, you are required to pull to the side of the road and remain at a standstill until such emergency vehicles do pass by. Oftentimes, an operator will put on the directional and reduce their speed, but they don't actually pull over enough to allow safe passage of these emergency response vehicles. Anybody who willfully or intentionally obstructs the passage of any emergency vehicle is subject to a fine of up to $100 and or imprisonment in the jail or house of correction for up to 3 months. Thank you very much.
We appreciate the courtesy you show us in your driving through the streets of Ashland.
Drive safely.
They want to get me, I'm gonna be ready to get them.
They just shoot. They don't care who gets in the way.
I want to be respected. This gets me respect, know what I'm saying?
I'm afraid to walk to school, okay?
Yeah, I might die. Everybody dies.
Kids shooting, kids getting shot. They're all victims of gun violence. The killing won't stop unless you help stop it. Call 1-800-WE-PREVENT for free information. Not one more lost life. Not one more grieving family. Not one more.
I don't want to die.
I would like all my friends to be there. I want my mother to be there. My hair's gonna be done so beautiful. A lot of music, a nice blue dress. I want to be beautiful for every single person that goes there. If I got shot, I want to have a nice funeral.
Every day, 10 children are killed by gunfire. Help stop the violence. Call 1-800-WE-PREVENT for free information. Not one more lost life. Not one more grieving family. Not one more.